Hello YouTube, how's it going? This is the crossover and I'm back with another video. Today is going to be another one of my individual scouting reports for the 2022 NBA draft. And in today's video, we're going to be taking a look at Stanford's Harrison Ingram. So without any further delay, let's get straight into the video.
Moving on, we do have some stats to cover regarding Harrison Ingram as he is 19 years old, stands at about 6 feet 7 inches, weighs about 230 pounds, and has a 7-foot wingspan. Very, very impressive physical profile for the young forward. You like that those 230 pounds that he does carry, even though he is definitely on the heavy side, he carries it well when he plays, and he knows how to utilize his strength and his size to his advantage on the court. And then you love that 7-foot wingspan as well. It helps him in a multitude of different areas on the court, which we will talk about in the strength section. So overall, good physical profile for Harrison Ingram. Now moving on to his on-court stats. This was his first year at Stanford as he is a freshman, where he did average a pretty decent 10.5 points, 6.7 rebounds, 3 assists, and 0.9 steals, nearly 1 steal per game. So decent counting stats. The efficiency numbers are not pretty, but they don't tell the full story of Harrison Ingram's season this year. Moving on to the efficiency numbers, he did shoot 44.6%. He did have a 44.6% effective field goal percentage, shot 66.3% from the free throw line, and as I always include, he had a 37.5% three-point attempt rate. So you like the three-point attempt rate. 3-point attempt rate. More than a third of his shots came from behind the arc. Even though the shooting numbers aren't great, especially from behind the arc, really from everywhere on the court for Harrison. Again, they don't tell the full story of his offensive game, and that is something that we will talk about in just a second. However, decent counting stats for the freshman forward. Moving on to Harrison Ingram's strengths as a prospect. First up, I want to talk about his ability to score and really move without the ball in his hands on the offensive side of the floor, which I really love. I feel like this is going to be one of his primary strengths at the NBA level, especially from day one, right? And he's able to move efficiently without the ball, both in man and zone situations, right? In man situations, whether he's on the wing or in the corner, he does a great job of anticipating and seeing and recognizing when his man isn't paying attention to him, and he'll hit him with the backdoor cut, or even the certain play against Texas. When I was watching film against him, it was an out of bounds play, and he was positioned right around the right elbow on the court, and one of the other players for Stanford was supposed to set a screen for him on the wing, and then he kind of like curls around, and then Harrison Ingram kind of fakes the screen, fakes going over the top of the screen, and then comes back to the middle, had an open lane down the basket. The inbounder hit him, and he was able to get an and one layup. Right, just little things like that. It's just things that you see with Harrison Ingram a lot. So, and what I really like about Harrison Ingram is he's just able to take whatever the defense gives him, and he's just able to take advantage of mistakes that the defense makes. And not everything with Harrison Ingram is pretty with his self creation, but the ability to recognize holes in the armor of the defense and being able to take advantage of it is what I really like. And even in zone situations, whenever the other team is playing him in a 2-3 situation, he always cuts to the middle of the court at the right time, or cuts to or will hit or will operate the dunker spot. If a player on his team is attacking the zone, right, and then kind of like the middle guy of the zone kind of has to step up a little bit. Harrison will do a great job kind of recognizing that, and then kind of just position himself in that area, just to kind of get a dump off pass so that he can get a layup in. Just little things like that are just things that you don't really see a lot out of a lot of players in this class. There's a lot of good cutters, like a Kendall Brown or a Marjon Becamp, but Harrison Ingram's just his ability to recognize all these different situations to take advantage of missteps for the defense is just something that I really like about his game right now. And another part of his offensive game that I really love is just his passing. And he's able to make a lot of different passes with either hand, really. For example, a play against Texas, he was at the top of he was on the left side at the top of the key, had a screen coming on his right side. He rejected the screen, attacked the basket. He was right around the left block. So he had a man open in the right corner and a man open on the right wing, and he bullet passed. He threw it, not even looking, with his left hand all the way to the right wing. He recognized that there was a man in help situations, that could have got to either pass, but he kind of faked looking at the corner and then got it to the wing. And that's just not a lot. That to see that from a 6'7", 230-pound forward, a freshman, is not something that you typically see a lot. Uh, um, um, at the college level, right? So to see Harrison have that level of discipline, have that level of poise, have that level of vision, and for him to again, take advantage of the defense. He's like, all right, the defense is going to go here. Well, I'm just going to fake him out and do this, right? And you just see that a lot with Harrison, and he's just able to make all kinds of different passes, whether it's just regular cross court passes or he hits the open man, and he does a great job of hitting, his big men with dump off passes whenever he attacks the basket. So to see all these different level of all these different these variety of different passes that Harrison can get off, and to see his decision making, you can kind of see it play out in real time. You can see him, with his thought process being like, all right, I see this man here. This man's going to come over. All right, let me fake here and get the ball here, right? So just to see that level of thinking and his thought process is just so impressive. And that's just not a lot of 19-year-olds can do what Harrison Ingram does as a playmaker right now. For him to, again, be 6'7", 230 pounds, that makes it even more special. And moving on to his finishing, which, he only shot 51% at the rim. So again, that's not good. But I think he showed a lot more promise than the statistics, would make you believe. He's a strong finisher, given those 230 pounds, he's able to throw around. He knows how to throw around his weight, especially against, one play that always comes to mind to me is against Baylor, where again, he hit Kendall Brown with a cut, was able to get the ball, saw Kendall Brown on his backside, and then he kind of just positioned himself, kind of threw his weight around, kind of got Kendall Brown off of him, and then he proceeded to finish at the rim, right? So to see Harrison Ingram, he knows how to throw his weight around, he knows how to use it to get to the basket. And, just given how strong he is, it's hard for defenders to really push him off his path or even move him midair, again, just because of how strong he is. But the main reason that he's not a good finisher right now is just that he's not an above the rim finisher, which is something that we will talk about later. But, when you just look at his strengths outside of, not being an above the rim finisher, I think there is a path to Harrison Ingram becoming an adequate finisher, again, just given his length and just given how strong he is right now. And then moving on to another part of his offensive game that I really like is just his handle. His handle's not bad. Like, he's not going to be breaking anybody down like that, but it's an efficient, solid handle, right? Again, he's not going to be breaking anybody down, but he's able to get to his spots. He has a variety of different means to do that. I've seen him hit defenders with, curl crosses, between the legs, fake between the leg, reverse between the legs, stop behind the backs and crosses. He has a variety of different moves in his bag. And again, he's not a plus athlete, so he doesn't have like that first step or that quick burst to really utilize that variety of different moves that he does have in his bag. But he has the handle, right? So it's not like defenders are just going to be able to pluck the ball from him, and he's able to utilize his playmaking just because of that handle, right? And again, he's not going to be, he's not like Jaden Ivey or anything like that. He's not that level of athlete. He's not going to be able to just break guys down and just burst off, right? That's not Harrison Ingram. But if you're asking Harrison Ingram to just run an offense, make smart plays, he's not going to be making any highlight reels, again, like a Jaden Ivey, but, he's going to get to his spots with his handle. And really, that's all you can ask for of a guy like Harrison Ingram, right? I'm not expecting him to be some star, but, if he can handle the ball in spot situations, get to his spots and whatnot, that's perfectly fine with me. So I think he has a decent handle, and I think it can help him. It helps utilize and bring out his playmaking. Moving on to the defensive side of the floor, where I love him as a contested rebounder. And, he's, as I state here, he's one of the best contested rebounders, in my opinion, in, amongst the prospects considered or, being talked about in the first round. It's that good. And, again, he's able to throw around his weight. That's part of it. He does a good job of utilizing his body to kind of put himself in positions to kind of, grab rebounds over over the taller offensive players. Even on the offensive side of the floor, he does the same thing. But aside from just knowing how to throw around his weight and just having, being 6'7" with a 7-foot wingspan, he also does a great job of he just has like a knack for the ball. He's just always positions himself in a place to get the rebound, and he has a great motor on the boards too. He's always hustling to try to get, that rebound in. So he's a great rebounder, awesome rebounder at the wing spot, and that really adds value to Harrison Ingram, since he's able to grab the rebound, and then with his handle and his vision, he's able to push the ball and create fast break opportunities for his team, which is something that I really like about his skill set right now. And he's able to end offensive possessions for the other team while also keeping the ball alive on the offensive side of the floor. So even though I did put, technically it's considered, he's a better defensive rebounder than he is an offensive rebounder. He's still a very good offensive rebounder for, being a wing. But again, I really like his ability to come down with contested rebounds. Again, I think this is one of his day one strengths when he does translate to the NBA level. Moving more so completely onto the defensive side of the floor, where he's a good strong side defender. He does a good job of not only digging down at the post and kind of swiping at the ball, but also swiping at ball handlers that kind of drive near him. And he has, again, same way he has a knack for the boards, he has a knack for plucking the ball away from people both in the post and driving near him. So again, that's something that you like to see. Him being active as a strong side defender, and then as a weak side defender, he has a good amount of reps where he does fall asleep, but he also has a good amount of reps where he does a good job of not only directing traffic, telling teammates where to go, but also maneuvering around weak side screens and weak side actions. So again, that's extremely impressive to see Harrison Ingram be able to tell his teammates where to go, considering the fact that, again, he is a 19-year-old freshman and just be able to move through screens. And again, it's not completely consistent right now, but again, just the fact that he's shown enough reps for it to be mentioned amongst his strengths. Moving on to some of the concerns I do have regarding Harrison Ingram. First up, I do want to talk about my concerns with him regarding the offensive side of the floor, where he's not a plus athlete, so that hinders him in a multitude of different ways. And when I say he's not a plus athlete, I mean he is not. He's a negative athlete. He's not an above the rim finisher. He doesn't have a quick first step. His lateral quickness is kind of lacking. His foot speed is kind of slow. So he's a bad athlete pretty much across the board, really. Outside of being 6'7" with a 7-foot wingspan, having length, I guess that I wouldn't really consider that more of an athlete. That's more like just your physical profile. But as an athlete, Harrison Ingram is a negative athlete. I think he's one of the worst athletes out of pretty much anyone considered to be a first round pick, arguably in the conversation for being the worst athlete amongst the first round talents in this class. It's that bad. And one of the ways that it really does hinder him is on the offensive side of the floor, as he really struggles to really beat some of the bigger wings off the dribble. And especially in the post, where he doesn't have the ability to kind of fake over one shoulder and then kind of like lunge to one side to kind of get like a hook off, or like a little teardrop. He really struggles with that. So and it's because he doesn't really have that first step, so you can't really get by a lot of people, more so on the perimeter, and it can cause him to just get swallowed up by a lot of defenders that are bigger than him, simply because he just can't get past them. And it's pretty concerning. I'm not expecting Harrison Ingram. Well, I guess we'll talk about it in the next section, but really, I'm not expecting Harrison Ingram to be some superstar at the NBA level. So I guess it's not technically that big of a deal that he can't get by defenders consistently, but it does hurt his overall, upside as a prospect. But again, it's like I really struggle with his athleticism, because he's just such a high IQ player and just makes so many good decisions. But again, not. And then you go back to the handle, right? Because it's like he can't get by defenders consistently, but he has a good handle. It's like, how do you juggle that? But I feel like Harrison Ingram is going to be able to get by some of the smaller players that do end up guarding him. Maybe a player that's like 6'4", 6'3", maybe in like a switch or something like that. But against some of the 6'8", 6'9", even some of the bigger 6'7" wings at the NBA level, I feel like a majority of them are quicker than him, better lateral athletes than Harrison Ingram. So I feel like they're going to be able to stay in front of him and kind of swallow him up, which does concern me a lot regarding Harrison Ingram's day one impact, at the very least at the NBA level. And then, given the fact that, he's not a plus athlete, he's not a plus, he doesn't have a great vertical either. And as a result, he's not an above the rim finisher. So again, as I talked about before, he's strong, he knows how to use his body, but when you're trying to finish over, a Kendall Brown, a Jeremy Sohan, you're going to struggle just because, those guys are NBA caliber prospects too. And, you're going to get your shot blocked just because they're just bigger than you, they're quicker than you. And there's just not much Harrison Ingram can really do in situations like that. So again, his ability to finishing and by his defenders consistently is just something that I really struggle to see being, a consistent thing at the NBA level for Harrison Ingram, again, just because of his athleticism. However, moving on to something that doesn't have to do with his athleticism, and that is his shooting, where, he has a lot of good reps and his shot is kind of weird because, his shooting hand is fine. He gets good elevation on it. His elbows bent, it's straight, his shooting wrist, it flicks. The shooting hand looks pretty. Everything with Harrison Ingram is more so about the guide hand, where his elbow kind of pokes out a little bit, and then after he releases his shot, or while the shot is about to be released, his guide hand kind of fades out. So I feel like that really helps him in terms of being a consistent shooter right now. So I feel like that is something that really has to get ironed out for Harrison Ingram, because again, he's not going to be a guy that's going to be able to beat people off the dribble, consistently at the NBA level from day one. And again, given the fact that he's going to have inconsistencies as a finisher at the very least, again from day one, he's going to have to be able to at the very least space the floor a little bit to see consistent minutes, from day one at the NBA level. So I feel like really, working on that guide hand over the summer. And also his footwork. I feel like his footwork can be a bit inconsistent from time to time, especially when he's shooting on the ball. His footwork can be a little bit wild. Like sometimes his base is too wide, sometimes it's too narrow. So, really just ironing out the consistencies in his jump shot and really, fixing that guide hand on his shot is something that I would really prioritize for Harrison Ingram, moving forward, at the NBA for when he makes that translation to the NBA level this summer. And then my final weakness or concern with Harrison Ingram is that his point of attack defense can be streaky. And again, this all ties back to his athleticism, just because he's not a good lateral athlete either. His footwork it's not necessarily it's very slow and it's very delayed. And again, as I state here, it's reactionary. So as a result, he can get blown by on the perimeter, and a lot of times he's kind of just stuck there frozen, and he can't really move. And sometimes it looks like his feet are in quicksand, or like he's like on a second delay. So that is something that is, I don't even know if you can really work on that. I feel like, again, at this point, these guys kind of are what they are as athletes, but maybe you can go through some footwork regimen, maybe do some football drills, kind of to work on your foot speed, maybe do some ladder work, but it kind of is what it is. So I mean, that is something that I'm definitely concerned with regarding Harrison Ingram on the defensive side of the floor. Moving on to Harrison Ingram's outlook at the NBA level. First up, I want to talk about his floor, which is an end of the rotation piece. Usually, I do include, slash G League player, like I did in the previous video with Hugo Besson. However, I don't believe Harrison Ingram will really require any G League minutes, just because he just has such a high IQ, just such a winning player, just makes so many winning plays that I feel like he just has a place at the NBA level, even at his worst, or at his floor. And the reason why I think his floor is an end of the rotation piece, just because of his, I think that lack of athleticism is going to hurt him from day one, and if he doesn't improve it always will throughout his career. Again, as we stated, on the defense side of the floor in terms of being a point of attack defender, and the offensive side of the floor in terms of beating people off the dribble and whatnot. So I feel like it's going to hinder him early on in his career. It's going to kind of keep him from seeing consistent minutes at the NBA level. And then, I expect the shooting to not be, perfect from day one either. I expect him to be, maybe a 33% 3-point shooter. So, again, that considering the struggles with his athleticism is going to keep him from being, a real rotation piece from day one. Also, but he's just going to get minutes just because he has such a high IQ. And then, again, given the weak side defense, and, just the playmaking, the rebounding, he's going to get minutes just because he's just, again, a high IQ player, just makes so many winning plays that, again, I do feel that at the very least, he's going to be an end of the rotation piece, at the NBA level. Moving on to his medium outcome, which I believe to be the most likely situation for Harrison Ingram, is where he becomes a good rotation piece, and, maybe a decent or solid starter. And, again, the rebounding, really keeps him on the floor. has him earn minutes, in the off-ball defense. Really comes out, allows him to be, a versatile piece in that aspect. And then I think his shooting is going to be pretty solid throughout his career. I believe he can become a 37% three-point shooter, at the NBA level. And then when you combine that with the vision that he does have and the decent ball handling, even if the athleticism never even gets better, I expect him to just get used to the NBA level and just with his IQ, just learn ways to become a positive contributor at the NBA level. However, again, even if he can overcome his athleticism in certain aspects, I still believe that it will limit him, given, we're talking about the median outcome. So, I still, think the athleticism will hinder him a little bit and, limit his impact again, as I stayed here, as a finisher and, as a point of attack defender. And I think, there is a possibility, where, if Harrison Ingram is out there in playoff basketball, just given his lack of lateral quickness, he can be attacked in matchups. And, we all know that the playoffs is all about matchups. So that is something that I am slightly concerned about regarding Harrison Ingram. However, his ceiling is a very quality starting wing. And again, in this situation, he's able to space the floor at an efficient rate, as I state here, with his cutting. You can handle the ball. He can play make a little bit. Awesome rebounder, versatile off-ball defender who improves, slightly as a point of attack defender. Maybe you can work on that lateral quickness a bit, and just is able to attack out closeouts better. Maybe the athleticism doesn't necessarily get it, but he just figures out how to overcome it. So, in that situation, you're talking about a guy who's a very good rebounder. You're talking about a guy who can make very good reads, who can run your offense a little bit, space the floor at a good rate for you, and be a versatile off-ball defender. That's a very quality starting player at the NBA level. And then finally for my comparison, I do have, a stronger, less lanky Kyle Anderson, just because they both kind of play at their own pace. Even though they're both not plus athletes, they do a great job of just, again, staying within their comfort zones, playing at their pace. And I think they both kind of are similar, not, again, as I state here, they're different physical profiles. They're both about 6'7", but Kyle Anderson is a lot more lankier than Harrison Ingram. Harrison Ingram is a lot bulkier, but they're both questionable shooting. The finishing is here and there. They're very both. They remind me of each other a little bit. And then I also included shades of Draymond Green with that pseudo playmaking. At that 6'7" spot and being a versatile help defender. So again, not. I don't think he's exactly Draymond Green, but I think he reminds me a little bit more of Kyle Anderson than Draymond Green. But the ceiling of Harrison Ingram can look a little bit more like Draymond Green than it would a Kyle Anderson. So overall, I really like Harrison Ingram a lot. At first, through the first couple of games of film that I watched for him, I had him as a mid-second round prospect. But after watching a majority of the games that they did play this season, I moved him up to, a top 25 pick on my board, and I think that's very solid for a player given his strengths and concerns. And again, I feel like, given all his strengths, as a versatile, off-ball defender with his vision, with his decent handles, and just given that the upside as a shooter, even if the finishing never comes around and the athleticism hurts him in a lot of different aspects, just given, again, he's just such a high IQ, high motor player, just makes so many winning plays that I feel like he's going to have a role at the NBA level for a long time to come. And that's the end of the video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you guys think about Harrison Ingram in the comment section. Do you guys think I'm just about right on him, having him, in that 20 to 25 range as a prospect? Do you guys think I'm a little bit too low on him? Do you guys think he should be a middle of the first round prospect? Or are you guys, what I've seen a majority or a good amount of people these days, at this stage of the draft process, kind of have him as an early second round pick? Do you guys think I'm just about right on? What do you guys think about Harrison Ingram? Let me know in the comment section. And aside from that, that's the end of the video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and if you have subscribed, please share the video with a friend. I want to keep growing the channel, keep growing the community that we have here. And again, aside from that, that's the end of the video, guys. Again, thank you so much for watching, and have a blessed day and take care. Peace.